Good afternoon, everybody. It's a dog with you with another edition of Weber This Week. It's a December 4th. Can you believe it or not? Hey, 3 weeks from today, Christmas. Pretty scary. We just got through with Thanksgiving, and now we're heading for Santa Claus. Hey, a good friend of mine is in the studio today, Jim Spina, the commissioner of the recreational departments or offerings at the town of Seneca Falls. He oversees it all, and we'll talk about a little bit about that job. We got so much to talk to Jim about the world of sports, as there's a lot of things happening in the world of sports. A lot of things happened this morning via ESPN, which I check out about every 12 minutes. Jim's good to have you in. Thanks for coming.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
By the way, let me apologize. I've had several people ask me what happened last week on the show. You know, every so often in this world of media, we get ourselves into a problem. We had some issues last week. Jim's aware of it. I'm talking about Jimmy Senecropia, of course. The computer froze up. So last week it was kind of funny. We had Michael Scaglione in talking about hoops/bikes. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of funny. We took our first commercial break and we were chit-chatting off mic, obviously. Figured we were off the air, and we actually weren't, because my wife, who's my best supporter, and I think she's going to be hired by Jimmy as an engineer, she said that we hear you talking even though you're supposed to be on a commercial break. So it happened a couple times during the show, and at the end of the show they could even hear us. So I think Jimmy's got it figured out. We apologize for the technical issue last week on the Weber Show. We always like to make this show as good as it can be, even though I'm the host. All right, Jimmy, let's get to it. Lots to talk about. First off, Giant fans, if you just come back from Moscow via flight and just got off the plane and you're in your car checking us out, Mr. McAdoo is without a job, the head coach of the Giants, and, of course, Jerry Reese. They both went down. I can't say you're too surprised with that development.
No, I was amazed that they even waited.
Yeah.
I mean, with all the craziness last week, and I guess I think the owner kind of took some ownership of that today too. So, and then Jerry Reese and McAdoo both.
Yeah, I think they mishandled that Eli situation. First off, are you shocked at what they were trying to do to bench him or that? I mean, to come out and play the first half so he can keep his streak going. To me, it's amateur.
No, and I thought the crazy part of it was Geno Smith being the guy. I mean, if you're going to actually want to look to the future, we all already know who Geno Smith was.
Yeah.
So why not?
Right.
The way I looked at it was, why not put the Webb kid in and make that arrangement? If you're going to do that, it's a little easier to make that argument.
And we got to talk about the Buffalo Bills, even though it's never been one of my favorite teams. Even though I told one of my friends up in Geneva, who's a phenomenal Bills fan, Christy McNichols, that I was jumping on the bandwagon to try to support the Bills to finally make the playoffs after, as you know, Jim, 17 straight years. Could it be 18? They were at 5-2 at one segment of the season, and now they're 6-6. They're outside of the playoff wild card situation. They've got Baltimore Ravens steaming their throats. They got the Chargers now out in L.A. making a big move with Rivers all of a sudden playing great football. You've got a phenomenal 3 or 4 teams in the hunt for that second wild card. So the good news for the Bills, and if there's really good news, is they got Miami twice and Indianapolis this week in Buffalo. I got to think that me, Jimmy, and 8 others could probably beat Indianapolis. Probably. It'd be close, but we could probably nip a 13-12 game. It's hard for me to fathom they're not going to win those 3 games. It really is. Miami, they won yesterday big, but they are one screwed-up franchise in my view. So I got to think Buffalo could win those 3. If not, we shouldn't even talk about the Bills anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
And now whether New England is a key game, which of course will be in New England the next one, the thing the Bills fans got to hope for is that New England has it wrapped up, and therefore they don't need the game, and they might bench Tom Brady.
Right,
and they might.
And
they're tied with Pittsburgh.
They'll do that, but if they're tied with Pittsburgh for that home field advantage, Tommy's going to play, and he doesn't like to come out.
No.
How about his explosion yesterday after the first?
Amazing.
Yelling at the offensive coordinator. Holy cow!
But you got to admire. I mean, the Patriots just took them apart, and of course, the big key point of the game early on was the fact that the Bills moved down in their first possession. Looked like they're going to jump out to a 7-zip lead. They're inside the 10, I think around the 8-yard line, and pressure's being applied by the Patriot defense. And lo and behold, look, a pass I would throw. All of a sudden, he threw right at the Patriot guy. Interception. Good night, Irene.
And you can't give the Patriots that.
You can't.
That kind of a break.
How about their running game for the Patriots? They really roared it up yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't see much of the game, but I did see some of the stats, and they dominated pretty well. In
defense of the Bills, they played super defense. They got to Brady for about 3 or 4 times. They sacked him, but he's just something else. And Gronkowski, You probably read about his little move on that kid, White. He slammed him down because he felt he was held. And, of course, the replay showed that he was held by the defensive back by the Bills. Should have been a call. There wasn't one. And so they called an incomplete pass, and all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. And the Gronk literally threw his body and slammed on him. Did a body takedown on him.
He went vigilante. On the ground. He went vigilante because the referee didn't call it. So.
I'm actually surprised ESPN hasn't had the results of the NFL. They haven't announced it yet. A lot of people are wondering whether he'll get a suspension.
They said it would happen sometime today if he was going to be suspended. So they haven't heard anything yet. I don't think. Unbelievable.
But what an amazing game for Gronk, though.
Yeah.
I mean, take away the cheap shot, and he admits it was a cheap shot.
Hold on. I got to get involved
here.
Okay.
All right. You don't think it was a cheap shot?
Oh, it was the worst. One of the worst things I've ever seen on a football field. He should be suspended for the rest of the year.
Gone right then and there.
He should be prosecuted or arrested for assault. A guy's got blood coming out of his mouth. He's got a concussion. It wasn't like a situation where he was going to hit the quarterback and didn't pull up. The play was over.
I know.
He hit the guy from behind.
He did.
Remember when Albert Hainsworth stepped on the guy's face?
Yeah.
He got 5 games for that Thanksgiving. I think this is way worse than that.
Yeah. Well,
but we're talking about Gronk now.
Yeah. They said the defenders are all tired of every time they hit somebody wrong.
Yeah.
They get a suspension. The guy from Chicago got one earlier in the year for the high hit. And then he said, but when the offensive players do it, they don't seem to get. So I can't imagine.
All right, there's 4 games left. Yeah. All right, Jim Spina, give me your prediction. What's Gronk going to get? What do you think?
1 game.
Jimmy Seneca, you think it should be the rest of the year, right?
If they don't come down with at least 5 games.
5?
Not happening, Jim.
Not happening.
They gave Albert Hainsworth 5 games. This will just further perpetuate the fact that the NFL gives favor to the Patriots. Albert Hainsworth stepped on a guy's face without a helmet with his cleat. Okay, Gronk viciously assaulted a guy on the ground in the back. Yeah. He had blood coming out of his mouth, and he has a concussion, and he's out. And the way the league is, concussion sensitive, this was an unnecessary. This was not choreographed violence as part of the game. Well, and I think if they don't, if they don't, then it's just a total travesty. If they don't give him at least 5 games, of course he'll appeal.
I agree with you, but I don't think it'll happen.
I think you're right. It probably won't. But then again, why are we watching the NFL then if they're going to favor the Patriots franchise?
Yeah. The thing about the game yesterday that I watched, and I was commenting on Jim Seneca, his weekend with the 4 games in Waterloo. They covered here in Finger Lakes one. And I turned on yesterday, and Jim had his podcast bringing in Heather Mott and Coach from Red Creek and Jerry Anderson. I watched that show. It was very good. But I was thinking, as I came to the studio today, the Patriots got an advantage, Jim, yesterday too, on a play which kind of makes me laugh because it was so obvious. And you said you didn't watch most of it. Yeah. It was third down and about 2 feet or something, or a yard or whatever. The Patriots came up short on that run by at least 2 feet. You could see the marker and you could see the football. It wasn't even close, and I got one good eye. And I was cracking up thinking, okay, they're going to bring out the chains and they're going to determine that he's short and it's going to be 4th down. The Patriots could have gone for it. But all of a sudden, Brady's up to the line, hut, ball handed off. The play goes on. McDermott takes his headset off, and I thought he was going to throw it on the ground. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. All of a sudden, they didn't even look at the ball marker. It was definitely 2 feet short.
Did they give him the first down and he went?
Definitely gave him the first down.
I see.
First down. And it was not this, folks, and this is a video show that we're doing here on the Weber. It's not this. It was, I'm telling you, it was like that. And I mean, it was so obvious for a guy that can't see out of both eyes. And I'm going, what in the heck? And McDermott's going ballistic, screaming at the official, the sideline guys, and of course, to no avail. The play's underway. We continue. First down, Patriots, off they go. That just cracked me up. I think, oh my God, it was just, I don't know, it's the way it is, I guess, in the NFL.
That's for sure.
They take care of the big teams.
They do.
Let's talk about something that you're wearing your Clemson outfit on. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We got Clemson now. We have Georgia, Oklahoma, and Alabama. And as you were leading up, and I think you and me exchanged, you had a nice comment to me on Facebook on the message system relative to I just sat there thinking yesterday when we were building up the momentum to see who would be number 4. The 1, 2, and 3 were already determined. It was not a doubt in my mind that Clemson wouldn't be 1. Mm-hmm. Now, who was 2? Oklahoma?
Oklahoma's 2.
Oklahoma's 2, Georgia 3, and of course, now we waited with anticipation. And all morning long on ESPN, they were talking about, is it going to be Alabama or is it going to be Ohio State? Now, you can argue with me, and I think you're going to take the other view. Maybe you will. I felt Alabama would get in, and the reason, I didn't worry about the fact would they put 2 SEC teams in, like Georgia, Alabama. I just went back to November when Ohio State got beat by 31 in Iowa. To me, that was crucial, and I kept saying to myself, you got a 2-loss team in Ohio State, you got a 1-loss team in Alabama. And one of those losses was embarrassing, and it happened, as you know, not in September, not in October, in November. And I felt pretty confident they would go with Alabama. And Kirk Herbstreit, of course, the great analyst, he walked off the set. He was in a state of shock. Yeah. And it is what it is. I wasn't that stunned that they'd picked Alabama. A lot of people are upset over there. Your view was...
I'm not stunned. I thought they would get in because I think there's Alabama bias. Sure. I really do, SEC bias. I said it last year.
Yep.
I'm a college football nut.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
I watch more probably than most people
Sure.
do. And my take on it is this: if you're going to just use eye test, then let's go back to the BCS.
Right.
Otherwise, what are we playing for? What are they playing all these league championship? It doesn't do you any. Right. Put it this way. If Clemson had lost to Miami, which I didn't think they would, but if they had, they're clearly this. If you're going to say that Alabama's been the best team all year,
right?
Clemson's outside a little craziness with Syracuse.
Yeah, and I agree.
They were the second best team all year at best. Now they're the first. Yeah. Number 1 team is how they look at it. What if they lost to Miami? Would they have been out potentially?
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, and I said it last year, Ohio State didn't belong in last year,
right?
Because they didn't play for. You have to at least play for it.
Yeah.
I would have no problem with both SEC teams getting in if Georgia Auburn came down to the last play and they put both of them in because they played for the title. Alabama didn't have to play another game; just sat and waited for everything to shake down, and they slide in. And it has nothing to do with Alabama to me. It's that fourth, and that's why I'm a proponent of 8 teams.
Yeah.
5. All 5 the 5 conference champions in 3 at large.
You're still going to have the debate over who's the last 3 at large.
But if you're 9, if you're number 9,
you're probably not going to win the national championship.
And it's not as big of a complaint as it is if you're number 5.
Yeah. Right. And if you the thing that I have a problem with, and I'm no Ohio State fan or Alabama fan, but if you're Ohio State and you win the Big Ten championship, how can you not be good enough to move on?
Right.
I mean, and then even it goes back to when Syracuse beat Clemson.
Yeah.
Being a little delusional, I guess, I'm thinking, if we win against Miami next week, we can win the ACC. We can find ourselves in the ACC championship game. So if you say that the winners of these conference championships for the Big 5 get in, then it brings everybody into the fold because without that, Syracuse had no chance to get in to the college football playoff from opening day.
Right, and the committee really made that big a deal 4 or 5 years ago.
Sure.
And really what pushed this in was the fact that Alabama got in over Oklahoma State back 5 years ago.
Sure.
And that created this change.
Yeah.
I would love to see one more change, and let's see if we can somehow – I mean, they can't talk about students, right? Division the FBS and Division 3 play 16-team tournament, and they're actually students. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
I don't see it going to 8 for quite a while.
I don't either.
I think they're going to keep it at 4. One thing that really pet peeve, and I put a note on Facebook this morning, is the 8:45 start for game 2. That is just so stupid. I know Jimmy Seneca always stays up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but Harold Weber goes to bed early, and I always go to bed early. And I'm looking at this. Are you serious? Okay, January 1st, we're going to tee it up, and we're going to play the first game. I think it's at 5 o'clock or something at 4:45 or something.
It's 5 and 8:45.
And I went 8:45. I mean, there might be kids that like to watch football.
Yeah, but at least that's not a school night on January 1st. The title game will probably start
January 8th.
Yeah, and that's
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
The part of the problem with the starting time is that January 1st there's 4 other bowl games.
Yeah,
or 3 other bowl games maybe. So they don't want to compete. And some of them, if you're the Cotton Bowl or you're the Orange Bowl, you want to get viewership if you have to put them against them. So they push it back.
I don't like it. I hate the starting time, and I'm going to complain about it right up until then. I'll probably watch the first quarter, fall asleep, and then I'll have it taped. But it just drives me insane that they got to start the game at 8:45.
But those are two pretty good games there, though.
Oh yeah, and I see your Clemson Tigers have been given a 42% chance of winning against Alabama.
Yeah.
They come out this morning.
How about that?
Alabama's 58% chance, according to the experts, of winning this game.
Yeah.
Debo
will use that.
Yeah, I know.
And at least at this point, it doesn't matter what anybody says. They're going to play, and the best team's going to win.
Yeah,
right.
This kind of talk back in October and November actually matters. Opinion matters, and that's the problem I have. You should know that if you win your conference as one of the Big Five, that you got a chance to win the national championship.
I agree.
Yep.
Well, listen, we're at 3:16. Let's take a commercial break. Jimmy Spina is my guest. We're talking football. We're talking sports. I'm going to get his opinion on Dino Babers. I've never been a big fan of Dino. I know everybody thinks he's going to turn that program around in Syracuse, Jimmy's alma mater, but I want to get Jimmy's opinion on, is he really the answer at SU? We'll come back after these words. Acting as a gateway to the Finger Lakes, Del Lago leverages the natural beauty and unique offerings while enhancing tourism in the region. The casino features 2,000 slot machines, 89 gaming tables, including 12 poker tables, portico by Fabio Viviani, a 2,400-person entertainment center, farmers market buffet. The hotel, spa, and banquet facility will open summer 2017. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Visit Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora, a fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor on Bridge Street in Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her team will find the right spirit for you every time. When you stop in, tell Amy the dog sent you. The Gold Hotel welcomes you to come out and enjoy the revitalization of this historic downtown Seneca Falls landmark. Every Wednesday is Ladies' Night with special price drinks and half-priced appetizers. Learn more at thegouldhotel.com. The Omen Theater on William Street in Lyons. See what's playing this week at omentheater.com. Located off New York State Thruway Exit 41, the McGee Diner has earned their reputation as a popular family restaurant, serving country, fresh, home-cooked meals daily. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and check out their menu at McGeeDiner.com. Seneca Metals is an award-winning company that has earned a reputation of going above and beyond to protect the environment and support their community. As an EPA inspector once said, their operation is head and shoulders above the rest. And the Newark Pilots of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League, a minor league team with a major league ballpark. Season ticket packages available at NewarkPilots.com. And the Wilson Press in Seneca Falls. My good pal Rich Rickey and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Visit them online at wpress.com. Welcome back, everybody. Jim Spina is my special guest today on the Weber Show. We hope you are enjoying the show so far. We're talking sports. By the way, Jeff Babinski was expected to be here today, our Executive Vice President and General Manager, Del Lago. But as I've warned you many times, he's a very busy guy. He's the number one guy out there. He got called to a board meeting of some sort. So we're trying to get him late January. Keep your fingers crossed. We'll let you know as we get closer to his schedule. Hey, by the way, Seneca Metals puts on a lot of great events. And I want to pass along to you the DIY stocking stuffer. We love Christmas. DIYers, it takes just a little bit of chutzpah to believe you can make something with your own hands as well as the big brand names. And this Christmas, we want to help. Come learn to make an amazing lip balm that will chase away winter lips for your family and friends. All materials are provided. To register, call 315-539-5624. Seneca Metals Educational Center, 1977 State Route 414 in Seneca Falls. Coming up this Thursday, December 7th at 6:30 p.m. Cost is $5 per person or $15 per family. So check that out at Seneca Metals. Well, Jimmy, we talked at the break. Jim Spina is my longtime friend, and he's been kind enough to join us today on the Weber Show. Dino Babers, I'm not like a lot of that are so pumped up for this guy on campus. No, all right, so he's had 2 4-8 records. I agree. I'll give Jim Senecropi his kudos. They had the 5th hardest schedule in football. I did check that out, so you got to give them credit for that. They played some really tough games. They did beat Clemson. People will argue the fact, even though I know that Syracuse lost Dungy the last few games, but your quarterback, Kelly Bryant, was out for the second half. They lost by 3 to the Orange at the Dome. Are you enthused about Babers? Do you think he is the answer? Do you think he's going to turn the program around? Is this pie in the sky? Are we always going to see mediocrity out of Syracuse? Where do you sit with that?
I'm a season ticket holder. I go to most of the games. It was tough having I went to the Clemson game and wore my Clemson shirt and my Syracuse hat. And I think Babers has brought a new energy to the offense, but he's got to do something about the late season tail-offs defensively. I mean, there's no reason for that team to go from defensively. I mean, even in the Florida State game, they played fairly well. Yeah. And then the last 2 was just, the Wake Forest and Boston College was just an implosion.
Well, it does coincide with Dungy not being there. Yeah. I think that they're just, the same thing last year, with a different team without Dungy.
They play, the whole team's got this completely different mindset, I think, when he's not in there. And I think, we just talked about this over the weekend, he's got to go to a bowl next year or he's going to go.
He's going to be in trouble.
I don't want to see it. Because I think when you keep breaking continuity, and every 3 years bring in a new guy, you're always starting over. I think Babers our guy, and I think the Virginia Tech win, the Clemson win, that's almost enough at this point, just to rekindle a little bit of that, and then the fact that you go down to Florida State and Miami. And you give them everything. Yeah, the Miami game, I thought they were going to win. They were a field goal away. Yeah. And
the Florida State, they missed the field goal to tie.
So just the fact that we can compete with these guys, like if Clemson might win the national championship again this year, and we would be the only team to have beat them this year, Syracuse. So how can you say that things aren't going in the right direction and that's another reason why I think they just need to open it up for more teams, because when Syracuse can beat the best team in the country, then you certainly just got to keep opening it up to more teams.
And you also got to be careful too, guys. Jim, is the fact. You got to stop proclaiming certain elements that you think are going to work on your behalf. They upset Clemson, and then the next day, here's Dino coming on every network possible saying, when they get into Syracuse Hancock Airport, they're going to realize they're coming to our house. Remember that? Yeah. Our house. Well, guess what? BC destroys them. I know Dungy was out.
Wake Forest.
And Wake Forest destroys them. At our house. And I agree Dungy was not playing, but give me a break. You give up, 100 points between both of these teams? I mean, I'm sorry. I know that Wake Forest quarterback is a fifth-year senior, nice kid, but you can't lose to teams like this by 30, 40 points. You can't do it.
Well, the bad part about the Wake Forest was they had a, 20-point lead.
Yeah.
So you can't blame the offense on that.
I'm sorry. That's the thing that really sticks in my craw. Dino, I'm not a big fan of his. He may prove me wrong, and if he does, fine. I'll be the first to admit it on this show. But you can't be bragging about our house. They're all going to know you're at our house. Wait a minute. You gave up 60-some freaking points to Wake Forest. Yeah.
Same. I think the reason he's going to have to put a bowl season together is because attendance isn't great now.
No.
Yeah. In another year of 4-8.
Yeah. Oh no.
Your 30,000 attendance is going to be at 20.
Well, Jimmy's got 3 pieces of paper in his pocket for sure wins next year. Wagner, Connecticut, Central Michigan.
The schedule gets easier next year.
Oh, it does.
And Dungy's a senior. He needs to stay healthy. Right. And the other guys that we got behind Dungy might be better prepared. And then the Culpepper saw some time in the BC game. But I think it's moving in the right direction. I can't blame Babers for saying that stuff when he isn't. When after that Clemson game, just like Virginia Tech, all of a sudden the eyes of the country are on Syracuse football for a brief period, and you got to maximize that and let people know we're still here.
One thing that bugs me about him that I see happen to a lot of coaches. I know Saban is probably ranked the number 1 coach in America. Dino's
number 2 to me.
Yeah, I know what to say. But if he loses a game, he doesn't lose that often. But he might say one word about the opposing team. Maybe 1, maybe 2. But Dino, just like Schaefer before him, gets on his post-news conference after every game. It spends the first 3 to 5 minutes what a wonderful program, what a wonderful coach that our guy is, and that your team played well. They did. Forget about it. It's just guts and blood, man. Right. You're playing to win.
Hey, Dabo Sweeney, when Syracuse beat him, his national championship hopes were almost wiped, and he came on, and he was a class act talking about Dino Babers and the Syracuse program.
Yeah, but he did mostly. He went into the locker room, which wasn't meant to be aired out, but the Syracuse kids talked about it.
But Dino, every time, he spends the first 3 minutes praising Jim Spina, the other coach. What a wonderful program. Yeah. Come on. You're out here to win, take him for lunch someday when you see him, but don't bring it up on the media. And he does it every single time. Yeah. He gets on his post-news conference like he had just won. He just got beat by 30. Yeah. I don't know. I look at it differently than most people do, but we'll see. I may be wrong. Babers, in a few years, God, they may be playing in the Orange Bowl. We'll say, wow, what a great turnabout. Right. So look you got the Final Four. Give me your gut feeling. Jimmy Spina's been kind enough to join us today on the Weber Show. We got, of course, I know you're pulling for, obviously, Clemson against Alabama. It should be a war. It should be a war.
And the way I look at it, it doesn't matter. A friend of mine called and I said, you're going to have to play them eventually. So go get it over with.
It's going to be a war.
I think Clemson, for the first time in 2 years, I'm going in thinking they're better. Mm-hmm. But Alabama's going to be healthy. They're going to get their linebackers back. But Clemson seems to go into this time of year, all of a sudden, somebody put it on, I can't remember who it was, one of the pundits said they go on seek and destroy mode. Mm-hmm. They seem to play well, and Dabo seems to always have them ready to go. Yeah. I think, even though they're underdogs, I think they're better than Alabama. Yeah. Doesn't mean they'll win. And
That'd be a great game.
I think Oklahoma is going to put some points up on Georgia, and it'll be some fun. I think both games are going to be great.
And one of the elements that I didn't know, Jimmy Senecropi, as well, that the ESPN guys were talking about, never came to thought process in my intelligence, which is lack thereof. But you got to give Alabama and Clemson a break because they're playing in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. These other cats got to go way out west. Yep. And they come all the way back. Yep. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and Dabo made a big deal about being number one, so they could pick. They get to choose which one they want. They get to stay in their backyard. Unfortunately, you got Alabama. It's closer to their backyard than his own. But what's great is if you look at Clemson, if they can get through that, championship game's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that's a 2-hour drive from Clemson, give or take. Mm-hmm. So, if they got to get through that first one, I think both games are going to be great. I do think Clemson will win. And I think, Alabama has a hard time stopping the run a little bit, and Clemson can run it. And Oklahoma is going to score a bunch of points. And then the only thing you worry about is, I've always said for years, usually the best player on the field usually dictates a lot in college, and Baker Mayfield will probably be the best player on the field, just like Deshaun was.
He's sort of a wacko, though.
Oh, he's crazy.
Sort of a wacko.
But boy, can
he play.
Boy, can he play.
He's a player. It's going to be interesting. So it's going to be great. Looking forward to seeing how it turns out. We got this is what the committee that have agreed to put this together and
committee, something like it.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Time will tell. Of course, one other note in the world of sports, the Ohtani, the Babe Ruth of Japan, is coming to America next year, and he's not going to play with the Yankees or Red Sox. Right. He's already said he's not going to play with those guys. He wants to play maybe out west and not deal with the northeast quarter of the Red Sox and the Yankees. Maybe it's too much pressure on him. I don't know.
Yeah, some people
say he's a heck of an athlete. I've watched some of his film.
100 miles an hour, he can throw it, and he's got all this power. He could be interesting.
And he wants to hit, too.
It'd be fun to see how they play that way. Which makes sense for a National League team.
That's right. They'd be more valuable to a National League team.
Well, God, we're almost out of time. How fast this half hour? Hey, listen, I want to remind everybody about upcoming guests. Let me remind you next week, if you haven't been over to check out the Maitre D' at Trombino's in Lines. You been over yet, Jim?
I've not.
You got to check it out.
My wife went with some friends this weekend, and she said it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's great food. My hometown, Lines. You got to go check it out.
Yeah, I went there years ago.
At Trombino's.
Long time ago.
Well, it's really good food, and the owner's coming to visit us next week. Chris Van Epps will be here on the show talking about his restaurant, bringing some pictures, hopefully with him, or sending them to me so we can show them. Looking forward to that. Then, of course, on the 18th, we bring in Seneca Metals' Kyle Black and Mark Benjamin. As you all know, lots of discussion on that topic. And, of course, then we get the next 2 weeks off on this show because Christmas is on a Monday and New Year's Day is on a Monday. So we'll have some good vacation time as well, and hope you guys have a great holiday season as well. Then on January 8th, Joelle Murney Karsten will be in to be my guest, talking about 2020, the women's suffrage, as we get closer, Jimmy, to that big event in a couple of years. Marissa Ruby comes in on the 15th. She's from Safe Harbors. And on the 22nd of January, a place that you, me, and Jim love to go to, Connie's Diner.
Yes.
Carmen Cardozola is going to be here. Nice. And I've been bugging him to come on the show, and he doesn't need one bit of exposure from this program, but he's coming on to talk about the amazing Connie's Diner. Do you ever go by there and see without seeing cars?
No.
Never.
No. You try to go for lunch, you can't get in.
No, it's amazing. Well, Jim, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry the show went so fast, but we talked a lot about sports. That's why you came in.
Yeah, so I love doing it, and I'm glad I could
look forward to it. And Merry Christmas to you and the family.
Thanks.
Same to you. Wish everybody well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the show. And again, we certainly look forward to having you visit us next week on the Weber Show, as Chris Van Epps will be on, owner of the Maitre D' at Trombinos in Lyons. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.